Welcome once again to the newest edition of 3 In, 3 Out, the most unique Seahawks recap show in the multiverse. I am your host, Clinton and Brandan, and I am joined by the one, the only, the great Brandan Schultz. And Brandan, did we win Christmas? Did we win?
Christmas was saved. Christmas was saved for all Seahawks fans thanks to that win against the Titans on Saturday. On Sunday, one of the days, it was one of the days before Christmas.
Yes, one of those days before Christmas. Christmas was saved. I was at a town thingy on Christmas Eve, like an open house, and I'm sitting there watching it on my phone. And there were Lions fans there watching it in this little shed that had the game on as well. And most of the folks there were pulling for the Seahawks, which was super cool. It was a big celebration. I was going to be a crank for Christmas. And then the Christmas morning, Brandan, I don't know about you, but I got some new Seahawks garb, some of it dangling around me right now,
Which would have made it. Tell.
Yeah, it's a little gold chain here. Would have made it a little bit more difficult, es muy difícil, if we had lost that game. But we did not lose that game versus the Titans. The comeback kids, the cardiac kids, they get the W on the road. And we got this new swag to talk about, Brandan.
Well, here's the thing. If, say, the Seahawks would have lost in some weird fashion, we know that they wouldn't have. But anyway, let's just play it out.
Sure.
Then you would have had Christmas morning to boost your spirits again. Because, I mean, we got throwback gear. I got this here. And I was happy about that particular gift. I also got my favorite gift of Christmas.
Oh, whoa. Is that Kurt Warner? Kurt Warren?
Oh, you were closer on the second time.
Oh, wait. This is Kurt Warren.
Chris Warren.
Right. Chris Warren throwback.
My favorite running back from the 1990s Seahawks. Yes, there were two running backs in the 90s that captivated me. It was Emmitt Smith and it was Chris Warren.
Yeah, Chris Warren was nasty. I was going. Kurt Warner was number 28, not the quarterback. People, if you're a newer Seahawks
in the
fan.
80s, yes. So you were in the right neighborhood, and they were just overlapping each other.
I make mistakes from time to time, for sure. But Chris Warren, a throwback Chris Warren jersey, that is outstanding. I travel a decent amount for work, and I've got this new nifty neck pillow right here. Mm-hmm. So I might actually take it off because it's a little, believe it or not, a little warm. But it's got the memory foam, which is nice. Brandan, new T-shirt, very soft, new tee, and of course I got this Chuck Knox, snapback,
old school lettering and everything.
Yeah. So I'm rocking that today, and pretty much been wearing it all weekend. I don't know what to do with it. My kids are like, "Look, Dad, you need to bend that rim because you're not like 15." And I'm like, but it came like this. And I don't think you're supposed to bend this type of rim. So maybe the folks in the YouTube comments or Discord, tell me what I should do with this rim. I don't know what to do with it. So I didn't bend it because I don't want to mess it up. So I think it looks okay.
Ask yourself one thing. What would Chuck Knox do?
Chuck Knox would probably bend the hat.
He would bend the hell out of that rim.
Yeah, Chuck Knox would bend it. But Gino at the podium, he wouldn't bend this hat, So do I fancy myself more Chuck Knox, ground Chuck, or more the comeback kid, Geno Smith? Maybe I hit the one in the middle or something like that, because Brandan, we sure hit the one in the middle here. And before we get going, I do want to remind folks, look at this, Brandan, new step up. Create a little graphic for those out on YouTube. So if you're already watching us on YouTube, well then heck, you know where you are, but youtube.com/Seahawkers podcast. If it's in your ears and it's in your hearts, go to the YouTube channel, subscribe. It certainly helps. We are encroaching. That's, a football term. We are getting ready to cross 4,000. It's a goal of ours. We want to get to 4,000 subscribers. We're a couple hundred away, a couple of weeks to go. Brandan, what can we push? Can we get to 4K before we hoist the Lombardi? What do you think?
I was thinking by the end of the new year, but I suppose your goal is maybe a little more realistic.
Yeah, just a couple more weeks, whatever that is, 5, 6, 7 more weeks to go. And we're hoisting Lombardi in early February. But regardless, hit the subscribes, hit the likes, share it with 12s. And Brandan, of course, if folks want to get involved and be part of the show, what do they need to do?
Getintheflock.com. You can go there. You can subscribe for $3 a month and above. Well, you can just go there and subscribe if you want. But if you get in at $3 a month and above, get you into our Discord group where we've got all kinds of places where we can talk about the game. $12 a month and above, get you into our Facebook Ring of Honor group. And I feel like we've been seeing a lot of our gifts there that we've been sharing on Facebook. Just everybody within the flock there sharing their Christmas morning takeaway items. And yeah, that although I haven't shared this there yet, so this is you. If you're on
Debut.
YouTube, you're seeing this first.
Wow, the debut for the
Yeah.
YouTubers out there, which is awesome. So, Brandon, we get the W, and I know that there's something on 3 and 3 out. I know we have one rule, but
Hmm.
and now we just did this last week. That much I know. Like it's like memento, right? Like Guy Pearce over here getting a brand new tattoo. I should just tattoo the rule, but I didn't. I was busy this week. I don't know what the sticky note is. I know we have a rule. I don't know what it is. I need help again, man. I need help. What's the
Clinton,
rule? Yes,
when the
please.
Seahawks win, you and we start with an N.
We start with an It's the best rule ever. Let's hit that whammy. Let's go. We got so much to talk about. We start with an in. You might see a little theme on this one.
Hmm.
We got Gino on screen there. They wrote me off. I ain't right back though. We know that from last year. And we're gonna get to in number one. Just keep Gino in your heart and mind as we go through all of this. We don't talk Gino too much on 3 and 3 out. Not usually. Again, a little more foreshadowing. All right. However, in one has nothing to do with Gino after all that. It is 0-0 Q1, 5:40 to go, second and 10. And we got the Titans at the Seattle 47-yard line. Brandon, I thought Draymond Jones, besides late game heroics, which were cool as heck,
Mm-hmm.
and we always forget, I didn't mention this time, Leo Williams, very good at football, extremely good at football still, turns out. Late game heroics, but he had early game disruption also. So we see a little three-part harmony here. I like Draymond Jones on the outside. I like you want to put Chigakonkwo, bring a tight end over and put him against Draymond Jones. All right, dude gets off with speed. Then in box number 2 there, he gets super skinny. And in box number 3, no quit. He is just launching himself Superman style at Tannehill. Totally disrupts this play. It's nearly in the area of Tariq Woolen. Incomplete pass. They get off on third down. They get off the field on third down with a beautiful Julian Love. Another big tackle by that guy who's all over the field. And they got to pump the ball. So started much stronger. We talked about being a little bit, team never defer. And I'm like, hey, look, I could be convinced that we should actually defer if we could keep people off the board early. We
Mm-hmm.
did that. Draymond was a big reason why. Thought he played a pretty good game too. We don't talk about him too much as the $18 million man, but we want to talk about him today. Draymond, first in. How you feeling?
Draymond Jones. He's one. So the way things have been going this season, especially since Leonard Williams has arrived on the team, when I look at the PFF grades, I am curious to see not who finished first on the defensive line, because it's like consistently Leo Williams. It's not even a surprise when I see him up there, but to see who then is at number 2. And number 2 on the defensive line this week behind Leo Williams is Draymond Jones. 3 total pressures on the day, 1 sack, quarterback hit, quarterback hurry, 2 stops. So a good solid line for him. And he was active. And yeah, nice to see him helping out toward an early stop in this game.
Yeah, and I love that at the end of the game. Did you see him dancing with the W glasses on the field?
Oh,
Right,
did
right.
he get the W glasses this week?
They kind of shared the wealth. They I
Okay.
don't know if they also got it themselves a 3D printer and are now just printing more of them, or if they're like tribbles and they just grow and there's lots of W glasses now. I feel like I want to believe the second part and that Brandon, we need all the W goggles going down the stretch.
I feel like it should be more like the trident for the Mariners, like
Ah,
like it
just
pass
one.
that's passing the torch. You just have one, and it's one that must be earned.
There might be one. I don't know. All I know is I saw Colby with them on, I saw Gino with them on, and I saw Draymond with them on. So there might be one being shared. They might be multiplying like gremlins, eating after midnight. I just don't know. It is the holiday season. That's a good Christmas movie. Let's whammy to out number one.
Good Christmas movie. Maybe not the greatest of Christmas movies. Just the whole with her family dying around Christmas and not believing in Santa because of it. That part a little bit of a downer for the kids around Christmas.
You forget that sometimes 80s movies, sometimes 90s movies as well, but 80s movies weren't afraid to bring the reality. Like even when it was the most non-reality of scenarios. They're like, you know what? People die, and here you go. This is gonna happen, kids. And it's a fun little movie with Gizmo and then death. And
Yeah.
welcome to the 80s. All right, so we got to welcome ourselves to out number 1, 0-0 ball game. Still quarter one. It was actually just after that the couple of plays we were checking out just before. Titans punt it down to around the 6-yard line. So Seattle's at our own 6. And at first I was like, oh man, I do not like this play call. It's a little horizontal to the flat, like immediate, quick snap to K9. And as you and Adam talked about, how about a little less of this and a little more just run the ball? Just run the ball. Now that wasn't particularly successful in this game either. But at first I was like, oh, really hate this play call. No good, no bueno. However, Brandon, when I cycle through it a couple times, look, you see Colby Parkinson out here, and you're like, oh, did Colby miss a block? And it's like, aha, not really, not really. Look, I gotta go and circle this rookie here, man. I know it's tough to see on the screen, so we're gonna talk about who that is. Who's the blurred man? That's JSN. I love what we're getting from JSN. He is becoming more and more consequential, more and more clutch, third down chain mover, big touchdowns. He's getting close to Joey Galloway's. He's within a distance of Joey Galloway's record. He might surpass DK for rookie this week coming up versus Pittsburgh within 16 games. So this is not shade on JSN, the player. However, dude, you can't be George Pickens. You cannot be Pickens. And now he tried to block, unlike Pickens, who just decided I don't want to block anymore.
Right.
But he completely whiffs on this. I think it's McCready. And then Colby's got to divert and try to pick up that guy. He can't either. -3 yards. Look, this is actually not a bad play, Brandon. I want them to run the ball too. If JSN executes this block, they got numbers out there. Then Parkinson's going to a different dude, and you got K9 in space, which is exactly where you want K9. So I went from questioning Waldron live to being like, nope, this was executional, and it's JSN's.
You could still question Shane Waldron on this one because there is another decision that would go into this that maybe the offensive coordinator has a little bit of control over, or whoever decides personnel. I feel like it's the offensive coordinator, but imagine if Jake Bobo were out here and in that position to block, and then you've got DK, Bobo, Colby. I think I like that trio of blockers ahead of K9 that a little bit better than I do with JSN there in the middle.
I like how you took that and you twisted it. You twisted it back to a little bit. Hey, Waldron, you could do better too here. We saw some Bobo. In fact, he caught 2 passes, only one counted because one was negated by a penalty.
Right.
But Bobo was involved. And yet, I think what I'm hearing, Brandon, is that a little more Bobo on Christmas Eve might have delivered.
Wouldn't hurt. Definitely not on this play.
Not on this play. JSN was quite awesome. And we know how he came through huge in that last drive. So out to an in. Let's hit the whammy. Let's keep on a rocking. Beautiful. All right, we're going to hop right into in number 2. Okay, quarter 2, we're progressing. It's a 7-3 ball game. We're down 7-3, and the Titans are at Seattle's 20. Why, to me, this whole drive and mini series was so consequential was it felt, well, first of all, they were running right through us. They should have ran the ball more throughout the game. There were a couple times where Tannehill's back to pass on first down. I'm like, why? Like what? Why? Thank you for doing that, but I don't quite understand why you're doing that. The Bobby Wagner sack comes to mind. That was a 1st and 10. I'm like, you don't want to run the ball. You're getting like 7 per carry, but okay. But that's why this play to me was such an important play. It's again, I think it's let's see. Yep, 2nd and 13. So we got a negative play on defense on that first play. Again, they're at the 20-yard line. They're driving. We're down 7-3. I'm like, in my brain, Brandon, I'm like, cannot go down 14-3. It's late Q2. We've looked like trash for the most part. Just didn't look good. And who steps up? I know it's again difficult to see on screen. That's Mario Edwards going against Skoronski. Just a power bull rush. Puts Skoronski on skates. You can see a little bit in the second frame, and then just he's there in an instant. This is Tannehill hits his back foot and he's sacked. So between the efforts of that's Mario Edwards's second. You've got Draymond with 4.5. You've got Leo with 4.5, and you got Jared Reed with 7. If you put those things in a blender and you go, oh, yeah, the Seahawks are tied for the most sacks in the NFC, well, you start to realize why. This was a really nice, timely play by Edwards. Third down, they don't do much. They get most of it back or some of it back, and they end up kicking a field goal to only go up 10-3. Super consequential. Mario Edwards Jr., loving that. Plus, a bit of a revenge game for him against this Titans.
Yeah, well, and this is a great moment too because again, the play before the play,
Yes.
like if they were to run it on 2nd and 13 against the Seahawks, especially the way they were defending the run, they probably would have been more successful on this drive. Like you pointed out, the very next drive, they pick up some yards. They picked up 11 yards. It was one of Spears' better runs off a right tackle. So
Right.
had they just done that on 2nd down, then they probably would have had a 1st down or at least been in 3rd and manageable to where they're going to run the ball again. So yeah, it's the fact that they were dropping Tannehill back to pass. I think it did benefit our defense a little bit. And as you pointed out, the ability then to become the NFC leader just in sacks.
Which I would not have, banked on going into the season with so much fluctuation across the line. We didn't have Leo at that point. We thought it'd be better, but actually last year we were pretty good with sack numbers too. But
Mhm.
if we could end up, hey, we got 2 weeks to go. We play a Pittsburgh team who's kind of sus, and then an Arizona team where Kyle can run around like a chicken without a head sometimes. He is gettable. So we shall see how we land it. We are tied with the 49ers, who we have not yet mentioned, Brandon. We haven't yet mentioned that the 49ers went down in flames last night, and Brock Purdy looked, oh, I don't know, just quite average under pressure. Some might even say a little below average when pressured.
That was fun. That was a fun game to watch, and the 4 interceptions on a night where throughout the broadcast they were highlighting just that conundrum that MVP voters may have throughout the league, and it was decidedly not in Brock Purdy's favor once the conclusion of the game rolled around.
I love how basically everybody, but I think Sherman, I think, is still on the Purdy train, which is funny in some ways. But like pretty much everybody else was like, yeah, you can't give it to him. You can't. If this is
Right.
the top two teams, 4 interceptions that night, and they don't win. This isn't 4 interception Russ. He hits Jermaine Curse over the shoulder to send us to the Super Bowl. That's a different type of vibe altogether, winning. But no, he gets a stinger. Trent Williams has a groin injury. They have to do an MRI on, see how that goes. I'm not cheering for injury. I'm just always reminding people that the NFL season is way longer with way many more twists and turns than we think it is week to week to week, moment to moment. How you're finishing, are you healthy? What are your matchups? What are the scales of justice look like? When I mean that, I'm talking about the refs. How much impact do the refs have in this game, Brandon? Drive one, Bobo caught that ball. That should be 3 catches for Bobo. He
Right.
caught that ball. All right, it's not a first down, but it's 4th and a half. We're gonna go for it right there. The Quandre,
I don't know about that, but yeah.
we're going in my brain. We ready to score a touchdown. Quandre Diggs, because he hit the guy hard because it was a terrible ball by Tannehill. That they got to change that rule. Got to change that rule. It's like your quarterback threw a bad ball. Quandre Diggs cannot change his trajectory mid going at a dude, and he's got to think it's going to be a ball on target. He's going to make a hit, but the ball's behind Traylon Burks, and away it goes. And
I didn't
then
have a problem with that one either because there was helmet to helmet contact on that
yeah,
one,
helmet to
and
helmet, but it's due to a bad pass. It's
I
to me, it's
that's not part of the rules.
I that's why I said you got to change the rules. Same thing with I think with the
Helmet to helmet, okay, if it's thrown poorly.
you can't spear the dude, but if it's not intentional, if it's a consequence of the quarterback throwing the ball poorly, you want to throw a flag, throw 15 yards on Tannehill, throw a better ball. So anyway, those are the scales of justice. This isn't in. Let's get to the next out. The scales of justice. We need like the echo, the echo, the echo.
Yeah.
All
How
right.
about no flags against the like the more, I don't know, what would you call it, as far as the team that is just better than everybody else? So it's like it's hinting at the fact that it's the Seahawks in the rule book, like they can't flag our team.
Yes, I like that.
How do we get that in the rule book?
I don't know, bit by how do you eat an elephant, Brandon? Bite by bite, right? So we figure that out.
Maybe we
We
should just be
infiltrate.
explicit. No Seahawks flags. They get to do whatever they want because they're the more virtuous team.
That's it. Definitely more virtuous. All right. This out, not so virtuous. Don't love talking about this. I really don't. 13-10 Seattle. Titans at Seattle's 36. It's a 1st and 10. And again, this is so it's 13-10. This is the drive that ends up 17-13 Titans, where they get helped by the Trey Brown PI on 3rd and long, which their feet get tangled. We used to hear all the time incidental contact. That was a thing we heard in the
Mhm.
80s and 90s and today's greatest hits. I
Right.
haven't heard the words incidental contact in a long, long time there, Obi-Wan. The thing is, Trey Brown gets tangled up. All right, he kind of bear hugs him a little bit because he's falling back because Hopkins just runs him over. So
Right.
that part wasn't incidental. But anyway, so they get helped out by the scales of justice. Again, they go up 17-13. Before they do that, though, this fullback here that I have on screen, he's coming, he's actually going to go target Boye Mafe on the edge there. So they use fullback successfully. You don't see Derrick Henry on screen yet. My challenge with this is the second half, we started to win in pockets with the run D. It was markedly better, right? Here, look at the right-hand side, circled all them. They're all winning. That's Draymond. That is good edge play. We got good penetration there. I'm circling Bobby Wagner because we go back one screen. There he is.
Mhm.
We go forward one screen. Okay, he's moved about a yard forward. He's just so flat-footed. I know he's got responsibility. That is
Mhm.
different. So I'm aware of that. He's so flat-footed though, and I would love Mafe to do better here, but the fullback does a great job, washes Mafe out and kind of puts him on his butt. And Bobby's late. He's late to react. He's late to see it. He's late to react. And then good luck. I'll just go forward. Good luck. He's trying to meet Derrick Henry, who now has a full head of steam. You can see where Derrick is getting hit, and
Right.
Derrick actually falls forward. And it's either a first down or it ends up like second. I think it's 2nd and 1, a half yard to go, and they convert on this a play or two later. It's just I see a lot of flat footedness. It's one thing when it's like, oh, Bobby couldn't get there. His horizontal's a little slower than it used to be. Fine, because actually the next play, Bobby makes an awesome play, tackle for a loss to put him in 3rd and 4. So it's
Yeah.
like this is not Bobby's not all bad at all. It's just it's a mixture, Brandon, for me of like he's flat-footed, he's a little slower. It's not just slow, it's slower to start, slower to recognize sometimes. And I hate to call Bobby out, but hey, someone's got to wear the outs. It is just the play we're talking about. And I'm getting on Bobby for this one as Derrick Henry plows for another 10 yards on us.
Did he or did he not make the tackle on this play though?
He makes the tackle.
Yeah. So he was in the right position. He gets his arms around the guy, actually brings him down. I can think of bazillion run plays where guys like barely got arms on dudes or got completely washed out of the play so that they were out of position. Daryl Taylor, Mafe, there I saw
Yeah.
one instance where he didn't hold the edge all that well
Oh, yeah.
either.
I saw that
So
too.
in this case, I have a hard time. Yeah, okay, Bobby maybe could have played this one play like a little bit better, but he
I,
led
I
the
think
team
I
in
think a
stops.
lot. I
He
think a
led the
lot
team
there
in
though.
stops. He was in position and he was tackling Derrick Henry, who had a full head of steam. And okay, yeah, maybe he picks up bigger yardage, but
Yeah,
I think
it's
this
it's
is
not
still kind of
it,
it's
it's not
it's
this
not
part
all
that I'm
bad.
it's not this part that I'm even getting on. This is the
Yeah.
consequence of tackling Derrick Henry with a full head of steam. That's going to happen to anybody. That doesn't matter. My position here is
You
look,
want him to
we
come up and fill that hole a little bit
heck
sooner so he
yes.
doesn't get the head of steam.
Heck yeah. I mean, that's what he should be doing. That's you could at this point, recognition that this is a run play, it's not play action. So he doesn't got to worry about that tight end, like and get up there and just fill that friggin' hole. Meet Henry 2 more yards sooner. Henry will still get some, but he won't be to the half-yard line. So I know it's a nit. We all love Bobby. I love Bobby. I do. And oh, actually, the reason I brought this up too was just because the injury to Brooks, and I just figured, hey, interesting topic to talk about a little bit as to what did we see from Bush, what do we think is going to happen with Bobby and Devin Bush, and how long do you think Jordan Brooks will be out as a consequence of that ankle injury?
Yeah, there's not a whole lot of information, it feels like, even the day after with regard to Jordan Brooks and his injury, other than Pete saying that he was sore. So it didn't sound like it could be catastrophic necessarily, but it may also be dependent on how it feels throughout the week as to whether or not he can go. In terms of the play of Devin Bush, it was in when it comes to the run game, Jordan Brooks is the clear better run defender. And I was glad to see um I was happy to see Bush out there a little bit, especially without Witherspoon, that
Yeah.
they were playing him more on base downs because
Yep.
I think he would be the better option versus having your nickel out there like Artie Burns. But so that was, I think, a smart move in terms of just personnel for the defense. Again, but I think where we tend to see Bush perform a little bit better than Brooks is actually in the coverage game. So, and that kind of played out again when we talk about where did the defense have more success. It was stopping the pass against Ryan Tannehill. So, I think going forward, let's see, with the Steelers, I don't think it's very consequential in terms of the run game, just because I don't think that the Steelers, Najee's good, but he's not like a big bruising back that you have to face. I mean, nobody's like Derrick Henry. So I think I'm comfortable there. And then I guess the one that, let's see, how is Connor still in for the Cardinals, or is he out for the season? I haven't looked
No,
in on
I
the
think
Cardinals.
he got back in. He's been playing
Okay.
well. He's been their dude. And then you got Jalen Warren, it's very much like Najee being Henry and Warren being more like Tyjae Spears. Like
Right.
it's a similar thing. Najee is a big boy. He's just
Oh
not
yeah.
as talent. He's just not as talented as Derrick Henry in his prime. And Najee's only what, year two, right? Year two or year three? I think year two, maybe three. Whatever. Either way, Najee is okay. He's more of like, for me, like an Eddie Lacy type, but Eddie Lacy prime, because he
Right.
is, young 20 still. But if we can't, if we are not successful at the line of scrimmage versus the Titans, versus the Steelers as we were with the Titans, it's not going to matter too much. Like they will have their success if we play similarly, but it will be very interesting, especially you mentioned the name. We haven't talked about him once yet. Spoon. Are we
Mhm.
going to get Spoon back? He changes. He's such a game changer, not just as the coverage, because again, Mason Rudolph and okay, you got Pickens, you got Deontay Johnson who loves the horizontal game. They're not exactly world beaters. Pickens is good, but they're not world beaters. They're going to try and run the ball, right? They will definitely try to run the ball. Spoon is so much better at the open field tackling and the aggressiveness around the line than, say, Artie Burns and definitely Tariq Woolen. I mean, Woolen had a nice play at the end of the game, but he's still not. Spoon, he ain't when it comes to tackling dudes in the run game. So, all right, lots there. Let's get to our last in. It's a great one, I promise you. Okay, I promised the great one. Here we go. We are into the fourth quarter. Actually, the last two, the ins and the outs, are in the fourth quarter, which I think makes sense. Fourth quarter really heated up 10-6. So we're down 10-6. It's 3rd and 3. We're at the Titans' 23-yard line. This drive ends with a DK Metcalf touchdown, which should not had to have been challenged, but the refs had challenges. Let's put it that way. I love everything about this. This was when I watched it again, I was like, oh wow, this is a remarkably cool concept. So when I get on Shane Waldron, then I've got to get on Shane Waldron when he does something that I think is really, really cool. So you got this whole left side here, this giant bunch formation, 12 personnel, X wing, Y wing, name the Star Wars, StarCraft over there. But you got four weapons on the left hand side, and then Brandon, who is isolated, center stage down to the right there for us.
Yeah, DK Metcalf.
DK Metcalf is isolated. Exactly. And let me see real quickly. I want to make sure I get this guy's name right. The linebacker, number 58 for the Titans, because this play is all about making sure he doesn't know what to do. So that is their outside linebacker. That's Landry. So that's
Harold Landry.
Howard Landry the third, circled in green there with the arrow. This play is awesome. So couple things happen here. It's 3rd and 3. Gino's in shotgun. He doesn't even wait to get back to his like third step. This is like 1-2, ball is out. But as we progress this, what is so cool about this is, first of all, everybody's biting to the left-hand side.
Mhm.
including Landry. So Landry's taken off left, which means the isolation's immediately working for DK, which Gino doesn't even look left, doesn't even try to sell it. He's like, "I don't need to, don't need to." And the cool part is if you go watch this live, Landry starts going left, and then he sees Lockett starting to come across, and he just motions just enough to go towards Lockett. So as I flip to the next screen, ball's in the air, ball's already out, and now Landry is completely flat-footed. He cannot get to that ball. DK's got the body on number 23 there, which is a Trey Avery, I believe, second-year dude from Rutgers. First down, Metcalf, beautifully executed. I'm going to give the This is to Geno Smith for executing this great Shane Waldron concept, but Geno deserves this. Quick, decisive, didn't even bother with the left side, just knew he had it, fired it, first down, let's go.
Yeah, and I like that because when at first I couldn't remember the play, and so I was wondering if it was going to be one of those just quick outs to DK where he was going to have to make the corner miss.
Right.
And the concern is then Landry coming up field and getting his arms kind of in that alley.
Mhm.
But I like this option a little bit better because yes, then it gives DK some time to move, gets him in position, and then kind of a short, easy completion. But then it's because he's isolated on the corner that gives him an opportunity then to make a miss, do DK things once he has the football.
Yeah, straddle a guy like he's going like he's running the
Hurdle him,
hurdle.
just
Yeah,
drive him into the ground, all those things.
all the things DK can do because he's the man's man. So I love this concept, and I just in general on the look back, while the game was a little bit haggard and a little bit uneven, again between the scales of justice not going our way in the biggest of moments, and the fact that the Titans had some long drives and they sustained some long drives. Given all those things, hey, that 5 minutes to go in the third quarter through the end of the game, that was great. It was great execution over and over and over when we needed it most. That 3rd and 14 play, everything, the touchdowns, everything was really humming at that point. Which again, hey, can we start a game like that next week? We shall see. But it is still rather much better, Brandon, to finish a game, win the game in the fourth quarter, get the road W, than ruining our Christmases.
Yes, I would much rather get that final drive for the go-ahead touchdown than just to have a go-ahead touchdown at the start of the game.
Yes, yeah, correct. And that is why team defer is usually right. I'm changing my stripes. All right, let's hit that whammy before anybody calls me on it. Okay, last out. We'll get right into the visual here. Okay, so I don't know what happened here, and I want to talk about it.
Hmm.
We get down to like the 6 yard line, 5 yard line on the DK PI, which by the way, full on PI, legitimate. And if he doesn't commit that PI, it's probably a touchdown for DK, probably like a 20-something yard strike in stride, beautiful ball. We are the more virtuous team, so that one was correct. We run a draw to Charbonnet on 1st and 10. He gets 4 or 5 yards, whatever that is, 3 yards down to the 2 yard line. And then shotgun, we run basically the same play, right? It's a draw to Charbonnet
Yeah.
from shotgun. What happens here is Abe blocks down left and Noah goes out and doesn't chip. I'm not sure I'm mad at Noah, and I'm not sure I'm mad at Abe, but I don't understand on a read option how we get two completely free runners unless the linebacker is just blitzing, and that's fine. Then good call by Vrabel and company. But we once again just did not block a dude.
Hmm.
And this is not some outlet pass to DJ Dallas. It's got to be a whiff. Abe looked as the game wore on, he looked a little winded. And I think that's very natural, right? 2 weeks in a row playing 100% of snaps, tough game, just going at it all day long. I don't know what happens here, Brandon. I'm gonna say I think it's Abe's. I don't know it well enough to say for sure, but how do you have two free runners on a run play from the 2 yard line? How is that possible?
My guess on this play is that it was a read option play
Yep.
that is designed then to leave him, to put this guy kind of into a bind as to whether or not to take Charbonnet or take Gino. I think the issue was with this play is then they did the the run blitz with, is that Harold Landry at 58 who's kind of lined up with
Yeah,
Fant.
if it's 5'8", it is, yeah.
Yeah. So I think that might have been Landry then who also crashed down. And in that case, that ends up blowing up the play because then Gino can't keep it because if he does, he's getting smushed. And, Charbonnet really didn't have anywhere to go with it unless, there was a play to that left side. And then if he could then bounce it out that way, but it may not have been designed that to go that direction, even though it does look like you got plenty of blockers on this particular frame. But I think it was more that I put this more on Tennessee's defense and what they ended up calling. I think they made the right call. And maybe you could say, hey, back-to-back run plays to Sharps, like in this moment, maybe not the best idea in terms of play call wise. And running out of shotgun again, maybe
Mhm.
not the best idea. If I'm going to give the out to anybody, I think I might go Shane on this one.
It might be Shane the main brain, but your explanation is really good. And if that is correct, then also I tilt towards Fant. Like, because then if Fant should be able to recognize, oh, the dude
Got to make a block.
yeah, at least chip, right? The dude I'm squared up with, he's coming. So I've got to do my part. If this is a read option, a true read option. The other part that's a little tough for me is that Gino at 2 weeks off of a groin injury. We did see him get a planned QB sneak, right? Like it was a little shotgun. I think it was quarter three, maybe a quarter. Well, either way, they were going the other direction earlier in the game. And it was a planned QB sneak. And so we did see that. So it wasn't like it was off the table for Gino to run, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure I buy it
Mm.
because of the injury. And I don't know. I just didn't see it. So either way, maybe it comes out as the folks who the dudes who crank through tape will talk about it. Maybe it comes out in some shows.
Could be
Didn't
RPO too, if
Yeah.
because I see Tyler.
Yeah,
Everybody
Tyler's
else
doing the
is kind
slants.
of
Yep.
holding steady, so to make sure that they aren't down blocking downfield. But it does look like maybe Tyler's timing it up to then go out into a route. Then if Gino decides to keep it himself,
Yeah, tough knowing. Didn't work out, but what did work out is the very next play, we get the 6'7" box out for the win. And I've been critical of saying, hey, when the game's in the line, don't go to your B and C players. We had the DJ Dallas incident a couple of weeks ago when he with the free runner, who was that? Parsons, right? We let Parsons run free. Still a terrible call, but this time they went to their whatever second or third string tight end in Colby, and they just use the 6'7" frame, box them out, and they get the dub. So I can't complain about it too much, right? So that was it, Brandon. That was our ins, that was our outs, and of course, when we win, not only do we start with an in, Brandon. I'm gonna remember that for next week. I promise. I promise I might. But I also know, Brandon, that when we win, we only not start with an in. This is getting wordy, but we also have the brand in. We get to serve it to me. I shut up, you deliver. You get to tell me what was thrilling you on Christmas Eve besides the anticipation of that sweet throwback sweater you're rocking right now.
well, you mentioned the guy who is deserving of the brand in this week, and that is my man, tight end Colby Parkinson
Woo,
for the final
careful.
touchdown, the go-ahead touchdown. And the reason why I wanted to call him out, Clinton, is because of the catch. The fact
Mm,
that he one has to go up and get it. Two, the defender. I don't think the defender could have played that any better. He got
yeah,
his arm in between
like here.
Colby. Yeah,
Yeah, like here.
right in his face,
Yep.
in between his arms.
Yep.
And so Colby, when he's going down, he actually has to maneuver the ball
Yes.
like around the guy's arm, then to cradle it and then secure it. And not only that, so as he's doing that, like the defender's leg is coming up across him too. Like the guy did everything he could to try and defend that pass to Parkinson. And yet he was able to corral the football, bring it down, and like it was almost like he knew that he had it even before he had it. It just you could see on his face like he couldn't have been happier that he was in this position, and yet able to do all those things, make it happen, and secure the victory for our Seahawks. Colby
It
Parkinson saved Christmas.
Yes, Colby saved Christmas down in Smashville for us, and that's a great recapture of it. That's I mean, all that is right, but that transfer because he had to. It wasn't like showboating. He's like,
Right.
okay, I need to get this over here because that dude's arm is still hacking away this way. Really, really cool stuff. Just super athletic stuff for a 6'7" dude. Going to be very interesting. We got plenty of time after we raise the Lombardi to talk about what's going to happen with this tight end group. With Fant's going to be a free agent. With Disley, with the large contract, we probably want to get out of that. And Colby being a free agent, right? So the whole group, maybe besides Mabry, being free agents in one way or the other. So it'll be very interesting. But for today, Brandon, we celebrate that Brandon, we celebrate that W, and I'll roll right into the MVC then. MVC, the most valuable cranny, of course. And it's similar. I'm going to give the MVC. I'm going to go right to Geno, dude, on that play, mainly because, Brandon, when's the last time that we gave it to a quarterback in the history? We have to go back to the history books. We got to talk to Ryan once again, talk to Frost. But I'm not sure we had ever given an MVC to a Seahawks quarterback. So I'm celebrating that two-step drop, the recognition, the hit to DK for that first down. I put a lot of words in the placard this week, Brandon. A lot of words. I hope we have budget for it, bud.
You're testing both the engraver and the budget, because once you get into 6 lines, like, okay, the budget thing is one thing. Like, you go 3 or 4, you're testing that. Now we're testing the engraver's ability to etch out each one of these and spell the words correctly for this many lines, 6 lines. And, that's just a test I don't know if I'm comfortable with. Like, I feel like we have a good engraver. Can they spell 6 lines correctly? I don't know.
Can you engrave the MVC in the fourth quarter? Of course you can, right? So I'm using words like trickeration. I'm not sure that's a word. I know I've heard it before. No. I'm not sure trickeration is an actual word, but for executing perfect trickeration at the most meaningful of moments late in the fourth quarter, Geno Smith, number 7, RQB. And that was another photo, Brandon, just to show you the W glasses on yet another Seahawk. So I think we need Colombo, perhaps Matlock, maybe Angela Lansbury on this W's goggles case.
We'll bring back all of the detectives of great past to get on the case. I like where you're going with that.
Very, very meaningful. And just like the MVC trophy that is 3D printed every week and sent to the VMAC, 100% accurate and true and physical and real. Very, very real. Brandon, that was a ton of fun. We get the win. We get the Brandon. We get the MVC. But wait, there's more. What else do we do on 3 and 3 out each and every week, win, lose, or draw?
We've got to go to our members of the flock. They've got their comments in the Discord, and we make sure to read them each and every week.
That's right. So remember earlier, getintheflock.com, join there. $3 a month or higher gets you into the Discord. Of course, you could do more than that. Some of the folks do well more than that, executive producers and everybody in between, and super, super grateful for all that. Remember, we're trying to get to 4,000 subscribers on YouTube. So youtube.com/Seahawkers podcast. Just hit subscribe. It's free. It's awesome. And hit those likes as well. It helps out. Amy designed Pete's Beach House. She's always helping out in the Discord. Brandon, why don't you take the first one from Amy?
Amy with the out, starting with the out here, putting DT on one side of the line and Hall on the other. That's the out from Amy.
Yeah, she also has an out for the Titans typeface, saying they use their numbers and field. They're ugly AF. And I agree. The Titans fonts are gross. They're disgusting.
I wanted to go back to Karkar because she actually had the very first in of the game that came in before actual game day, and giving the in to Julia Love, the wife of Julian Love, for pushing out that baby and making sure Julian can be active in the game.
Oh, very, very great stuff there. Hey, I need stall for me, Brandon. Take another one. I'm in the wrong spot altogether in the Discord. That's how many there are.
12th Man Records with the in Seahawks brotherly shove, aka the Hawk Shock. Very open to rewording this, but 12th Man Records giving the in for the novel play that we saw with DJ Dallas under center, taking the snap and picking up a first down.
Absolutely love that from Jason Bonner at 12th Man Records. He is also a fellow marketer. So for him to come up with the Hawk Shock, I like that. Take that brotherly shove. You know where to shove it. I actually liked quickly, Brandon, using DJ Dallas in that role. Not about injury. I just want the dude with the biggest tree trunks back there who probably can squat 550 plus pounds like Jalen Hurts does. That to me actually to me made a lot of sense. How about you?
Yes, and I do get the sense just based off of, I guess visual evidence that he can probably squat more than Geno.
Yeah, I think so. Gino's a strong man, right? But I do think that
Nothing
DJ's
against
got
Geno, but yeah, his hindquarters not
his,
not the
his
same
yeah.
size.
Better thank his mama for a butt like that. That's all I'm saying. All right, car. She says also out. How is that not a catch? Bobo was robbed. We covered it earlier. It's one of those things where if you're on the field, Mr. and Mrs. Referee, call it a catch. You don't know for sure. Looks like a catch. Call it a catch. You get back up. You people could challenge that, but no, you call it not a catch, then it's inconclusive. Brandon, what's inconclusive about that catch? What was inconclusive? What part?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Everything looked like a catch. They just didn't want to admit it.
Yeah, the whole part where you caught it. Yeah,
Yeah.
ridiculous.
We got salad, fork, spear with the in to whichever announcer had the Freudian slip and said Geno Smut on TV. Geno Smut, I feel similarly talking about a man's hindquarters. So I feel the same way here.
We've gone down a dark path here. All right, we got Scott Campbell coming in from Australia. He says, out, everyone and everything. Total, utter embarrassment. This was earlier, before the comeback kids, the cardiac kids. However, the Australian was not loving it at that moment.
That Scott wears his emotions on his sleeve on
Sure
game
does.
day in the Discord and will make sure that everyone knows it. So yeah, it frustrating for sure. And ultimately they were able to pull it out again. Maybe it had to do with Scott, channeling some of that negative energy. Seahawks are feeling it. They're like, oh, we better turn this around for Scott's Hawkra, and they were able to do it.
They sure were. That's right.
We got Frost with an in to a clutch Tyler Lockett in the fourth quarter, in for a clutch sack for Mafe in the fourth, and a clutch sack for Draymond Jones.
That's three clutches. There's three clutches by Coach Frost there. We didn't mention Tyler Lockett, and we've been talking for 45 minutes. Yeah, man. Like, he just,
I was
whether
worried
it's
you were going to give him an out. You gave Bobby an
no,
out. I thought maybe shoot, maybe
well,
if I bring him up, then Clinton
if,
actually gives him an out.
if Lockett didn't decide to move and then dropped a pass that he should have caught, then he might have gotten out. But it'd be either way. So we'll move on. So, but I got this one. We're back to Scott Campbell because the retribution is so nice. The arc, he says, in Geno. That is all. That's all we need, right? Geno.
Amy designed Pete's beach house. High snaps by Brown, abnormal and not helpful. Giving the out to the snapper there.
Yeah, seen it a couple of times, a couple of weeks in a row though. Where last week with Drew, there was early in the game, a couple of balls almost popped over Drew's head. Hasn't come back to hurt them yet, but Amy's perceptive, so we shall see. I'm like, let's hopefully it doesn't. Let's go to Lloydzilla. He goes in our receiving group, strength and depth, putting great stats on the board. Completely right. Like it's a pretty wide and deep. I don't remember a time where it's like, oh, our third and fourth were this strong with that many complementary tight end pieces too. It's a pretty good group.
It's good. Jay in Alaska with the in to Sharv's blitz pickup on the throw to Lockett that was challenged on the game-winning drive. And I think this one was highlighted on the broadcast too. So it did stand out immediately in the moment. And I'm glad Jay in Alaska put it here. So then we could reflect back on it. It was a great blitz pickup.
There were two particular nice blitz pickups by Sharbs in that last drive, and that was one of them for sure. So Sharbs had a uneven game. He nearly made the out ledger with that drop in the flat, kept him off of that because it really was like I saw him down the stretch. I'm like, all right, you know what? The dude came back in and balled, and in the biggest moments, he was there. So good stuff. All right, we got Northwest Gambit, NW Gambit in Reek with the snow snatching, the soul, talk about smut, the soul snatching bam, bam, cam hit to seal the game. And I know people were like, wait a second, he got out of bounds. Wasn't he out of bounds? But Brandon, what's the rules when you're going out of bounds?
Yeah, you got to be going out of bounds on your own. If you are going backwards after a dude hits you, then that win goes to the player, and that's what happened.
That is correct, and that's
Williams.
windmill Willie time. That clock keeps a ticking. And by the way, did Tariq get hurt on that play? I saw him kind of like, did he hurt his shoulder? Is he okay? Just
no. What Pete was talking about after the game, and I couldn't quite tell if he was thinking that Reek hurt himself because of the hit, or if Reek was concerned that the other guy was hurt and was. I wasn't quite sure how to interpret that commentary from Pete, but regardless, it sounds like Reek is fine.
Okay, well that is the most important part of that tale. Good.
All right, we've got. Let's see. Do we have anyone else we want to go to? Jimbo. Here we go.
Yeah.
Stupid bad vibe stadium for the injuries and not having padding around the wall. JSN seems okay. Phew. Yeah. When JSN went down toward the outside, he found the one place on the entire wall that they decided not to have padding go all the way down to the base of the wall. Who decides that? Oh, you know what? We have padding around most of these places on the
Yeah.
wall, but let's leave this one little area open just in case, because we can't afford. We had to take it out of the budget for the printing costs for the MVC trophy, so we can't afford to pad all the way down to the wall at this part of the stadium.
That's like the part of the YMCA where they got padding around everything else, and that thing's there. But you know what they do with that space? They put something in front of that, like something soft. You know, little box jumpy things that you could jump on
Yeah,
nowadays that are soft.
you can do
You
that.
put you put those there so that you don't have the exposed concrete. Because guess what? This is not the 1970s where dudes have to like go into the end zone and then hurdle a station wagon because Chrysler is sponsoring, the halftime show, right? So it's not the 70s. We don't have to have exposed concrete. It's so weird looking too. It's like three different patchy pieces
Yeah,
where somebody
we
said
ran out and we just
we're
gotta
done.
make it work here.
Yeah, we're done. Well, we gotta cut the budget somewhere, and by golly, no one's gonna hit that thing except for JSN hit that freaking thing. Right?
Jason
So
found the one spot in the entire stadium that wasn't padded all the way to the ground.
yes, but he came back gloriously with a bunch of third down conversions. That let's spin this too. Let's end and spin to the positive to wrap up today. Uneven, sure. Pundits out there, Seahawk punditry, other Seahawks podcasts. Oh man, there were some. I won't talk. I won't even utter their name. I'm not going to do it. Just brutal. Where like 10 minutes in, after 5 minutes of like, okay, we won the game. They just go into everything that was wrong and that this isn't good enough. We can't win the playoffs. Meanwhile, it's the NFL is so weird, and week to week it changes, and you just got to keep compiling W's no matter how you get them. The Bills barely getting a must win versus the Chargers. Okay, they got the win. The Chiefs need a win versus the Raiders. They can't beat the Raiders. Like, this is the Niners look absolutely unstoppable and get stomped by the Ravens. It's the NFL. Get your W's, especially road W's. Stop your complaining and just keep progressing. And Brandon, where did we progress? Third downs. We progressed and we were really good in third downs and sharp and creative and on time. And down the stretch, man, was it 5 of the last 6 or something like that? Let's take that momentum, go forward. But like, I'm just so done with the negative town of Seahawks folks who are just, they're mad about wins. It's like we're winning ball games and we can make the playoffs. In fact, we could get the 6th seed, but we had to shake our hand in a cloud and say, that's not good enough. Not the way you should win, Brandon. I say,
I didn't like the way. I mean, again, it was an ugly win, but and there's no way around that. And so,
right.
yeah, those ugly wins, they don't always feel the greatest, but I think I'm I'll take an ugly win in the playoffs too. It's the thing about winning ugly, it kind of teaches these players that yeah, you can have some bad moments in a game, and yet you can find ways to come through in the end. And here they go, back-to-back weeks. And yeah, the first one was a little bit more impressive because it was a playoff team in the Eagles. But here it is again. You're down in the final moments and you have an opportunity to get the W, and they've worked through it. And now they know it. Like, there's some confidence building, I think, that goes into that here we were down, and yet here we are able to pull through when it matters most in the end, get the W and come through. And yeah, those are the types of wins that happen more so in the playoffs than any other time, because teams are relatively evenly matched. And there might be a moment where it comes down to the final drive of the postseason. Geno Smith or Drew Lock, either one of them has the ball. And hey, we know that they can do it because they've done it now.
Yeah, collecting those chips in the fourth quarter, they mean something. Gino with his fourth comeback, fourth quarter drive, tied for the league lead. That does mean something. Obviously, Locke got his as well. That's 5 overall for a team.
It's funny
That
you should bring that
means
up because
something.
I thought I was listening to Around the NFL podcast, and they poo-pooed the idea of fourth quarter and game-winning quarterback drives, like
Why?
because of the people, the players who were on the list. Because they mentioned Geno, that he got his fourth, and then they also mentioned that Kenny Pickett was on the list and Desmond Ritter. And it's like, oh well, that can't be a good stat because those quarterback names aren't great. It's not Patrick Mahomes, Brock Purdy, all these
Yeah.
top quarterbacks. It's these guys. So we should just disregard that stat for this 1 year, even though traditionally that's a stat that all the best quarterbacks generally are at the top of the list. This just happens to be the fluke year to where it's Geno, Ritter, and Pickett.
Yeah, on teams that are pretty much overperforming, right? The Falcons get a W where nobody thought they'd go beat up the Colts. The Steelers come back, who we got to play next week, and just blow out the Bengals. That's with Mason Rudolph, who we're going to see next week. That'll be interesting as well. No, that's
Are
that
we just going to
still.
throw out touchdown receptions once we have a quarterback who's not like that great of a quarterback suddenly throwing touchdown
It won't
passes? Like,
matter. It
oh
won't
well,
matter.
touchdown passes is an overrated stat by a quarterback. That doesn't really matter.
Remember when Vinny Testaverde got like 33 touchdown passes? Yeah, he was a Buccaneer, and Buccaneers stink. People are so dumb. I'm over it. I'm definitely not over our Seahawks, though. Brandon, we got to get back home to the PNW. We got the Steelers coming out here. Still a Tomlin-led team. We know TJ Watt's going to bring it. We will see what Abe Lucas and company could do against TJ Watt. Look, we're home. Mason Rudolph, I don't care. We gotta just keep compiling W's. We gotta go get it, Brandon.
And I think with that,
there's only one thing left to say.
go Hawks.
Go Hawks.